So what have we got to look out for tonight? Where do you think your man, Paul Ryan, is going to score?
I think he'd do well because I think he really understands the issues. The economy is still the major issue, jobs in the economy for the American people, and he understands those issues very well. He's got to be a little careful not to get too much into the details, and I also think he has to recognize he's up against a very experienced, very knowledgeable opponent in Joe Biden, who's been around for, what, 37 years or something like that.
Paul Ryan's also the darling of the conservatives, though. He's a social conservative. He's very hard line on abortion and being pro-life. You know, he believes even rape victims should not be allowed to have abortions. Is that something you agree with him on?
Well, my position is that I am pro-life, but I believe in the exception of rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think that is, you know, what most pro-life people position they take, and that issue may come up, but I can assure you it has not been an issue in this campaign because we still have 7.8% unemployment, and my home state, half the homes are underwater. In other words, they're worth less than the mortgage. So it's still jobs in the economy that will be the dominant issue.
Do you think the American public are very febrile at the moment? I mean, if a poll number can change so dramatically after the first debate, it can change back, can't it?
Oh, absolutely, and it may. I mean, listen, I know the president is very capable of a stronger performance than the one he gave. But let me tell you the reason why this has had such dynamic effect very quickly, and that is that for months, the Obama campaign spent tens of millions of dollars, particularly in these swing states, attacking Mitt Romney, driving his unfavorables way up. Rich guy, Bain Capital, didn't pay taxes, all of that. So Mitt Romney's performance the other night really put the shatter to all of that. And that's why you're seeing so much dynamics associated with it. I still don't think the president can defend his record, and that's where he failed, I think, significantly in that debate.
Well, I mean, you know, you raised the negative attacks. I mean, of course, 4 years ago, you were the one mounting some attacks on Mitt Romney. I mean, you know, if I can quote you here. I mean, you said he's consistently taken both sides of every major issue, consistently flip-flopped on every major issue. You attacked his lack of foreign policy experience. I mean, have you changed your mind about him, or has he changed?
Well, first of all, I remind you that Hillary Clinton had a press conference and said, "Shame on you, Barack Obama, shame on you," and she's his Secretary of State. A lot of things are said in campaigns. After it was over, we got together. He campaigned hard for me. We spent a lot of time together. In fact, I endorsed him early and before the New Hampshire primary in hopes that that would help him. Look, tough things are said in every political campaign, but I can tell you, I never called him a liar. And I've never seen a campaign where liar is used consistently, and that's what the Obama campaign is using about Mitt Romney on a consistent basis. I have never seen that before, and I think it's disgraceful.
In Britain, obviously, we're very focused on America's place in the world. And you're obviously advising the campaign to some degree on foreign policy. Are you pushing them to be much harder when it comes to America's position both in the Middle East and on Russia, which we see in the news again today?
What I'm pushing for in the case of Syria is that we not only get arms to them, but we establish a safe zone for them, and I have for a long, long time. Now 30,000 people have been massacred. Now that is not Governor Romney's position. He wants to facilitate arms, which I strongly support. The problem is that there's no confidence in American leadership in the Middle East anymore, and that has weakened us, and that has caused a lot of the problems we have. Al-Qaeda is resurging in Iraq. The Iranian crisis is sort of stalemate. Afghanistan, we're seeing terrible things happen with Afghans in uniform killing Americans, and that's because our president talks about withdrawal rather than success.
You've likened Mr. Romney to Ronald Reagan, who of course described Russia as the evil empire, and Mitt Romney has said Russia is the #1 geopolitical threat to the United States. I mean, do you think he's right about that, first of all? And what do you think America should do about it?
First of all, I think when Ronald Reagan called them the evil empire, I think you could argue that they were at that time. Mitt Romney meant to say that they are a major threat in the area of the whole issue of nuclear weapons and all that. I think that Mitt fully understands and has said many times since then, that the threat of radical Islamic extremism is the major long-term threat that we face in the world today, and they're on the rise in Africa, they're resurging in Iraq, they are still viable in Afghanistan and Yemen, you know, around the world. You know all these things.
But we see Russia and Syria coming together today in the news, where Russia is effectively accused of sending weapons on a Syrian airliner that the Turks escorted to the ground. I mean, what's your view of that, and what do you think should be done?
My view of it is, and I'm shocked to hear that the Russians are flying weapons into Syrians. The second point is, this is a flashpoint and tensions that I hope can be diffused. I have said all along that a lot of bad things are going to happen unless we help these people diffuse. Those people who argued against intervention, i.e. getting weapons to the Syrian resistance and helping them set up, said a lot of bad things would happen. Everything they said that would happen if we intervene has happened while we haven't intervened. The tensions on the border, the Kurds in Syria, all of the things, Lebanon, all of those things, Jordan, all of those things have happened and have increased tensions and the prospect for more conflict in the region. And it's disgraceful for us to sit by and watch 30,000 people slaughtered.
Just finally, if Mitt Romney is elected, do you think we will see him as the conservative, the hardline conservative that got him the nomination, or as the more centrist, moderate that he's starting to sound like now as we get closer to polling day?
I think that you're going to see is basically someone very much like Ronald Reagan, someone who understands, as he described the other night when he was governor of Massachusetts, he crossed the aisle and worked with Democrats. You heard what President Obama said. His answer was, sometimes you have to say no. So I think he's going to reach out the way Ronald Reagan did to our old beloved Tip O'Neill, and the way Bill Clinton reached out to Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole, because we know that we have to bring this country together because we are approaching the edge of a fiscal cliff. On national security policy, he will assert American exceptionalism and American leadership, and that does not mean he wants to send American troops abroad. Americans are war-weary, as British citizens are war-weary.
And just finally, can you explain why you preferred Sarah Palin as your running mate to Mitt Romney when you were running for the presidency?
It wasn't that I preferred her over Mitt Romney. There was a number of people that we considered. I thought that she would energize our party, which she did. I thought that she would be something that really a lot of women around the country could emulate. What I didn't anticipate was the vicious attacks by the far left that continue today. The vicious attacks on her character, her integrity, her family, and I still think it's the most disgraceful thing that I have seen in American politics.